Okay, cool. So this is a basic tutorial on Final Cut Pro. Final Cut Pro, it's a Mac, like an Apple specific software. So unfortunately, if you're using PC, you can't really use this program, but it's kind of like the big brother to iMovie, more or less. It's kind of laid out similarly. Even some of the keyboard shortcuts are similar, but it's more or less kind of an Apple specific video editing program that's the big brother to iMovie. So let's go ahead and get into it here. So the first thing, obviously, you're going to open up Final Cut Pro. Let me get that going over here. And once you open it, so this is kind of like one of those softwares where you don't need to save. It saves automatically, which is kind of different from a lot of other programs. But essentially, you open it up, and wherever you were when you were last working on it, you're right back to where you were. So I kind of like opened up a project that I was working on and already kind of exported and finished. But I'm going to go ahead and start a new project just to kind of walk us through everything. So usually
Okay.
when I'm going to start a new project, I go to new and new project. So you can use Command N to do that. So you kind of start with a new project and you're going to name this. So I'm going to do, this is kind of I'm going to do just a mock project of a video that I kind of shot recently, just so there's actually something real that we're doing for this video. But I'm going to call this day 2324. This is a day of snowboarding weekend. So you have project name and then you have events. So you can create events which are kind of like general folder categories, and then you can have individual projects within those. I haven't been super great with organizing that, but in hindsight, I would create some kind of project, some kind of like grouping folder for all my projects. Like these are music videos, these are snowboard videos, and just kind of have those have those nested within events. But anyway, so you get to choose like the format of your video and resolution and rate here, depending on what your camera is. If you're shooting at like 2K or 4K and you have a really nice camera, you might edit in that. But most of the time, we're editing for social media and like YouTube and stuff. So 1080 is pretty much 1080 HD is kind of like the high definition of YouTube, and then social media platforms like Facebook are a little bit less, more like 720, and then Instagram is like super small. It's like 480 or whatever the smaller sizes are. But essentially, depending on what this video is supposed to be for, I'll kind of choose this. But generally, I'm going to keep it in 1080 just to like have it high quality for now. Keep it at the larger resolution, which is kind of like the ratio of your screen. Frame rates, most of the time you're going at like 30 frames per second. This is like frames per second kind of rating. So depending on what you're shooting with, if you have a really nice camera and you're shooting at like 60 frames per second or 120 frames per second or 30 frames per second or less than that, like it's going to interact in that way. But generally, I've had my settings set at this. Rendering, I don't know. Yeah, I kind of just go with these basic settings. Basic sample rate of 44.1 and stereo audio. But yeah, that's been working for me pretty decently. And most of these videos just go on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. So once you kind of set your project and you name it, you go to OK. And oh, I can't use those slashes, so maybe I'll use an and there. Okay, cool. So once you start a new project, you're going to see like several different windows down here in these different panes. But this main area up here, this is where your viewers. This is like your video screen where you're going to see in real time like your video. Over here on the left side, there's kind of like a Finder browser area where you can scroll through different audio clips that have been imported. So the ones that are in red, like these were imported or maybe just sourced from another file, another like drive location, and they're not there anymore. But more or less, you're going to be doing your editing down in this bottom pane. This is like your editing pane. This is your viewer up here. And then over here on the right side, you have all the different controls. So it's a very complicated program. There's a lot of stuff going on, lots of stuff that I don't really probably even know about yet, but I'm just going to walk you through what I do on a day-to-day project. So at this point, I've got a fresh project. It's labeled. I'm going to bring in video clips now at this point. So what I usually do is go to some file or something. So I'm going to use Command Tab on my Mac to go into my Finder, and I'm going to pull up some video here. So I've got my external SD card from my GoPro, and I'm going to look for some video from a recent trip here. Usually what I'll do is I'll start to kind of piece together the main sections of video rather than importing all the video at once, which is going to load this stuff on your hard drive, which is kind of like redundant. If you have like an external drive or like an SD card, I find it's better to do a one-time edit, quick edit from the actual drive rather than downloading this to my computer. But if you're going to be working on this for weeks and stuff, and maybe you don't want your external hard drive always plugged in, you might import these. You can import clips of audio or in clips of video up here on this little import button right there, and it'll bring up a browser and let you import. Anyway, I'm going to choose some footage here, find something from the day that we were going. So I've got some footage of campfires and whatever. Okay, I might use that. I can literally just drag and drop that down here in my editing area. So that's kind of how I get started. I'll just have my Finder open here. I'll scan around for different clips of video. That's going to be a good one. Maybe another one here. Let's see what this is. This is preview. Like I'm previewing these clips by hitting the space bar. And I kind of do that as like a preceding importing these just to kind of scan through and see which video clips I want to throw in here and which are just kind of like throwaways. So this is a full-on run here, so I'll probably use this one and whatever. Yeah, it doesn't quite matter, but here's another process that might be kind of useful for you guys. If you have large, clips of audio or clips of video here, and you maybe only need like a minute or something or a shorter portion of some of these audio clips, like if you're looking over here, some of these files are like 1.8 gigabytes. Like that's like a super long, maybe like, it's like a 4-minute video clip right there. And maybe I only need a portion of it. This is a kind of a nice workaround. So within my Finder window here, I might want to take a shorter selection of one of these videos. So one thing I can do is open this in QuickTime. So right here, I've got that video selected. Command O will open this video clip in QuickTime. So you can kind of see up there that I've got QuickTime player going. All right, so that's Command O for open. Now I want to trim this. My whole thing is I want to get like a shorter clip of video. I don't want to import this 5-minute, video clip into my iMovie. I just want to kind of like cut it and trim it. So what I can do is Command T. When I have this file open in QuickTime, Command T brings up the trim function, and I can literally kind of find the best part of the video. Like maybe I'm going from like, I just want to go from the start of this run to like, a minute into it or whatever when I stop or something like right here. So I've used these little slide bars in the bottom trim tool to trim a shorter section, and then I can go ahead and save this or export this smaller clip of video. So I can go to Command S and save. Let me see here, or maybe, oh yeah, I can click on trim, and then and then I have like just a 1-minute clip of video here. And at this point, I can save this. Command S usually works pretty well, and I can save this as short trim or something, or whatever this clip I want to call this clip. I can save this, and it's going to save this shorter, like 1-minute clip into my folder that I basically recorded this, and was sitting in. So that's something I'll do from time to time, just to like take a 5-minute video edit and turn it into a 1-minute clip, so I don't have to import the entire thing. But the idea is you can drag and drop your video files into that video editor down here. Okay, so once you've got the video clips inside your editor down here in the bottom window, a couple key commands that are really useful: zoom in and zoom out. That's going to be Command - sign and Command + sign. So when I'm selected inside of this area down here in the editor area. Command minus allows me to, shrink my zoom and zoom out, zoom in, and basically get closer or further away at these clips that I'm working with in my editor. Okay. Another couple useful things to know are the trimming tools, like on the sides of this clip of video. If I put my cursor there, you see it turns into that little bracket symbol. That is where I can trim the edges, like the beginning, the starting point, and the ending point of that clip of video. So that's kind of some basic stuff there. Another useful key command for like splicing or putting a cut in the middle of a section of video is wherever my cursor is, and if I've selected, so I need to select the clip of video, so there's like yellow border around it, and wherever I put my cursor, Command B will put an incision into that piece of video. Okay. All right. So within this editor window, I'm going to kind of keep riffing on this area down here. I can make splits. I can trim the starting point and the ending points of these pieces of video clip. Hitting the space bar and, putting my playback head or my playhead, what is it called? Whatever. My playhead area here, like whenever I put it in a certain spot and hit the space bar, it will start playing the video so I can kind of view where stuff is. If I trim, a lot of times it'll show me like the starting point of, or the ending point of one video and then the starting point of the other video. So if I want to match up like, oh, my hand's here and then my hand is there in the same spot, and I want that transition to happen seamlessly from one video to the next. As I adjust and trim those edge points, I can see where the beginning point is of one video and the ending point of the other video is. So that's kind of a cool feature that happens up here in the viewer area. Other things that are useful. Oh yeah. So say you want to have picture in picture. I could have a piece of video. Say you're doing like a recording of a band or something, and you have like several cameras going simultaneously. You could have these three cameras, these three video clips stacked. So you kind of see how there's one video clip on top of the other video clip here. This is where I would start to crop these different scenes, these different video clips, so that I could have picture in picture. So depending on which one of these video clips I'm selecting, I can go up into this area up here, and if you notice on the bottom left side, there is a transform. This is called the transform button. But anyway, I can crop that video clip, and I can make it a smaller, I can crop it so it's a smaller frame. So when I play this video clip on top of this video clip, essentially what's going on is there's a picture-in-picture type of thing. So you would layer, like, say you wanted to do 4 different band members playing at the same time or something like that, or 4 different, video clips playing at the same time. You can layer these on top of one another, and then you can crop each one individually so it slides into a different corner of the screen. So if you want to do picture-in-picture, that's how you kind of do that stuff. You have to stack these things. So you can have stacks of video, scenes going at the same time. Another useful thing to know about this area, let's see here. Adding audio and working with audio is pretty simple. I'm going to grab just here's a wave file from my desktop here. I'm going to drag this and drop this underneath one of my video clips. So essentially, when I drag in the audio that I want to sync my video to, I can layer it below the video clips and kind of position it however I see fit. But essentially, here's like a minute and a half or 2 minute long audio cue. It's just a wave file of a song or something that is now layered in this timeline. So the whole idea of this editor down here is you can layer different videos and audio, and you can kind of mix things together, almost like multi-track recording, in like a DAW or something. Another good keyboard shortcut to know is how to mute one of these. So say you have, like two files, one on top of the other, and you're starting to make little edits to where it's going to switch from one scene to the next. This is something you might do if you have like a band, like say you're doing like a live concert and you have different video clips, different cameras going at once, but they're all synced up. You would line up the music to the different video clips, and you'd have like 3 layers of 3 different cameras going simultaneously. And what you can do is you can go through here and like, okay, I want to start with camera A, which is this one down here. So I'm going to put an incision there, and I'm going to put an incision on the top piece of video as well. So that's Command B. And then this piece of audio right here, I want this to like not happen. I want that to be gone. So I can delete it, just hit the delete after I've selected it, and that'll make it go away. Or I can hit V, just V on the keyboard. And what it does, you see how it's dimmed? That like mutes the video. So essentially, like when I'm playing this video, it's only showing the bottom video clip, not the top one. And I can unmute it by hitting V again. Let me undo this whole trim crop thing. So if I want this to be, below, or I want this top layer of video to be muted so that the bottom layer down here actually shows, V allows me to kind of mute different pieces of video. So like this whole top section, say I don't even want to see that. It's just up there, it's synced. I'm actually really kind of worried about working on this video clip down here. I can hit V and it mutes those sections. So you can do that to any of these little pieces of audio or video or whatever. So V is a way of muting visually or audio-wise those different clips that are sitting inside of this editor view. So there's a range of other tools. The selector spot for the different tools is under this area right here, and there's different keyboard shortcuts for these. So there's like a select tool, which is your basic pointer grabber. That's A, so just A on the keyboard gives you your little pointer grabber tool. The other ones like trim, the trim tool is T, position tool is P, range selection blade, that's the cutting tool, B. So you can change from the different tools by using the letters T and B for the blade and A for the grabber tool. Those are some of the keyboard shortcuts that you'll work with, depending on what tool you need at that time. If you want to trim, you can put that trim tool in here. And the trim tool, more or less, let's see, what do I use the trim tool for? There we go. So yeah, the trim tool is kind of like it's really works the same way in the automatic tool mode, like when you have the regular select tool active. The trim tool basically is just a hybrid of kind of like a smart tool where it's already available for you. Another thing that I've noticed about Final Cut Pro, say you have 2 clips that are close together, like you see here. If I double click, you kind of see what I just did there.
Yeah.
I double clicked. Let me undo a couple times. Get back to normal here. How do I get out of this? There we go. Escape. If I'm at kind of like the merging of 2 different video clips, and I have my trim tool available right there. If I double click, maybe it's got to be closer together. There we go. Yeah. If I double click, it brings me into this trimming mode where I can kind of scan and have the crossover from one clip to the other clip. I can kind of set that more accurately, and without moving the audio or the video clips around, I can kind of reposition where it transfers from one spot to the other spot of the other video clip. So that was double clicking, and then escape to kind of get yourself out of that. Okay, cool. So there's a bunch of the stuff that you encounter down here. You can notice that there is an audio waveform on the bottom of these video clips, and this is sort of like the dynamics. This is the fader, more or less. You can adjust the volume of the audio that's on the video clips, as well as the audio that's on the audio clip down here. So you've kind of got this line where you can move it up and down and change the dynamics. It's like a fader, more or less. If you want to automate and change the volume of this line and kind of turn it down at certain spots and turn it up at certain spots, what you do is you hold down Option and you click on that line. And that allows you to put little points on that audio automation line to where you can turn down the audio on the camera for a certain area of time, and then it pops back open. So you've got you can have video from the audio from the camera, and then the audio ducks down, and then there's maybe audio from another scene or from another from another audio track or something. So you can do automation with the volume on these things. So it's Option to put those points. Option click puts those points to where you can adjust automation wise with that automation line for the volume. Okay, cool. So other things about working with this program, if I go over to this upper right corner of my editor window, there are a few different buttons up here. So these kind of change how your playhead happens. So when you're skimming, as you move your cursor left and right, it will kind of scan the video, or you can turn that off and it doesn't do that automatically with your mouse. You can, let's see here. This is what is that tool? Anyway, whatever. I don't even use that stuff so much. The two main important things over here are the effects browser and the transition browser. These are the most useful things in this corner of the window. So the transition browser brings up all the transitions from one scene to another scene. So if you want wipes, or you want kind of crazy graphics, things going on, three-dimensional weird stuff, or just blurs from one scene to another, this is where you can browse all of those possibilities. So most of the basic ones that you use are kind of like a cross dissolve, where it just fades from one scene, one clip to another clip. So I might drag this and put it in between or at the edge of two different video clips. So for instance, just to show you what it does, this little area, this little gray area right here, is the transition from one to another. You kind of blur, it dissolves from one to the other. Now, if I want to adjust how quick or how slow that happens, I will zoom in a little bit closer in on this area with Command plus. And what you see here is you see the size of the transition as far as how long it takes for it to transition. You can make it short and quick and brief, or you can make it longer by trimming out the edge to where it's maybe a slower crossfade transition, or it happens very, very, very quickly, almost instantly, like that. You can also, if you go up to the top edge where you see these two little lines, it will trim the edge of one clip or the other. So if you want to adjust where one clip ends and the other clip begins, you're dealing with that top portion. And in the center, you can basically scrub it from, with the two pieces of video kind of locked in place, you can kind of scrub from one to the other end without moving either of them. But as far as positioning where this crossfade happens and making it perfect, you have these two top edges will trim. Look at, if you double click, that happens too, where you can kind of do more exact trim or crossfade accuracy with that editor tool right there from double clicking on it. You just double click and it expands that kind of thing where you can see both waveforms, or both both video clips side by side, and kind of position it perfectly. So that's another thing you'll mess with a little bit, just transitions. There's so many of these things. There's a huge library of these in Final Cut Pro. So yeah, you kind of pick through those. The other thing that's really cool is clicking on the effects browser. So there's a lot of effects built into Final Cut Pro, and they're kind of categorized in video effects and audio effects. So the audio effects are kind of like plugins in your DAW, like, EQs and compressors and different distorters and all kinds of cool stuff. So there's ones that come along with, that come built in native um, to Final Cut. You can see some of these up here: levels, modulation, spaces. You can kind of add reverb and stuff like that. But if you have third-party plugins like from Waves or anything like that, you can apply like some of your Waves plugins. So for instance, I'm going to put like a CLA76 compressor on the audio of my audio track or something like that, right? So I can drag this effect and drop it onto this clip, okay? And what it does is it applies that compressor in real time to my audio clip. Now, what I probably want to do is adjust that compressor a little bit. So if I go up here if I select my audio, I've clicked on that clip of audio down here and it's highlighted in yellow. If I go up to the top area here, this is like my little inspector where I have all the different, parameters of like that piece of audio that I've selected. You can see that there are the volume, there's like a gain area, there's all these different areas where you can do some basic audio editing. But one of the areas should have my CL76 compressor on it. Where did that sucker go? I don't see it. Let me try this one more time. Take this CL76. It might not work because this is a stereo audio file, so I need to find a.
You maybe try clicking on the little fader symbol up at the top right there. See up next to the flat, the down a little bit. I wonder if that's it.
That is it,
Oh
but
no.
it's for the equalizer. It should say
Yeah.
CL76 up there. So I think because it was a mono plugin, not a stereo plugin. So I need to go through here and find like the CL76 for stereo, because this audio track down there is okay, here we go. We'll just use this one. So I'm going to grab this plugin. I'm going to drop it onto my audio down here. And let's see. Okay, here it is. So I had to scroll down a little bit because there's a long list of different effects. But anyway, you can see that I applied the CLA76. This is a third-party plugin. And when I click on that little symbol right there with the faders, it's going to bring up the plugin of that CL76. So I can basically hit play here. And I can set my settings of my plugin or whatever device I'm using here. So it's almost like I have like DAW recording, post-production plugin capabilities within this program. I can apply these plugins like the compressors and the limiters or whatever else. I can apply them to specific camera audio tracks as well. So a lot of times, like if it's like I'm trying to pull audio off of a camera, I'll drop like a compressor on like a camera clip here, and I'll select that. And then I can go down here and find where the basically there's different categories. There's like video parameters, and then there's the audio parameters up there. If you click on that little speaker symbol, and then you can see I have the CLA2A here, and I can show that plugin, and I can set my levels or whatever appropriately for that plugin to work properly. So you have basically plugins and devices that can be added to these different clips in that way. You basically grab the device, you drag it on here, and then the parameters are going to be up here in this little inspector window. So similarly to audio parameters in this browser window here, there are video parameters. So as far as different distortions of the video, looks, lighting, effects, or whatever, for instance, a lot of times I'll do like these color blurs or something, like, it'll kind of add like a filter to a piece of video. So maybe I want it to go with this tint, this little kind of weird color tint thing. I'll click and drag and drop this on a section of video, and then it applies that to the video. So you can kind of see I've got that tint color tint going on this piece of video. So you can kind of do that stylized type of look there. And if you're going to do it, it applies it to specific clips of video. So if you want it to go from one to the other, if you want to kind of shoot from like one color to another color to another color, and I do this sometimes in my videos just to have, kind of like some visual variety, I will, let's see here, let me get this though. Undo. There we go. What I'll do is I'll put incisions. I'll cut that piece of video. I'll make another cut here. I'm actually cutting these video clips apart so that each one of these little clips, I can apply a different color tint to it. So maybe I want sepia, and then I want this colorized red thing, and then go back to this, whatever. I have like several scenes, several like, transitions from one color to another color. Boom, boom, boom. So you have to kind of apply these effects, these devices and effects to individual clips. So if you want them to kind of come on and come off, you're going to have to cut and put a split in that video clip if you want those effects to pop in and pop out. So transitions, all the different color effects and visual effects, as well as audio effects and devices, you can apply those to these specific clips of video or audio down there in the inspector. And then your parameters for all that stuff is up here in this upper right corner. And be aware that you have to like transition from color effects or video effects or audio effects by selecting the different categories up there. Okay, cool. Let me see what else is there. What else goes into this whole process? Another thing that you'll probably want to add in some sort of video that you're making is titles. Like, names popping up, words popping up on the screen. Just like in iMovie, there's a big library of these things. So to find these different titles and apply these to different parts of your video, you go up to the upper left corner where you see the symbol right here at the T. So that's going to display a library of different titles. I mean, there's all kinds of crazy titles, way more options than you would see in like iMovie, but it's kind of the same deal. So if you want like one of these titles to pop up during your video, you would select it and you would drag it and place it at a certain point in your timeline, in your editor, on top of one of these clips. So for instance, right here, this title is going to pop up right there. Okay, so that's the little title. So usually what you want to do is you want to edit that title. Okay, you want to like put your own words in there and maybe reposition it and edit it in different ways and make it, the way you want it to be. So what I'll do is I'll put my cursor, my playback head, over the area where the title's at so I can see it up here in my viewer. So I got to be able to see what's going on so I can check my positioning and my colors and all that kind of stuff. So with this selected and my playback head right over that area, I have my parameters up here in this upper right window. So what I can do is I can click on the text, and sometimes it highlights it, and I can see up here in the text window where my text is. So I can change it to be like whatever I want it to be. I can type whatever words I want to be displayed in that text. Then as I go down, I have a plethora of different parameters that I can adjust. Some of this stuff is like the size of the text. You might want to make the text bigger or smaller. The alignment of it, like if it's aligned right or center, the spacing between the lines. If you go a little bit further down, there's like positioning, where you can change the positioning left and right, up or down. Rotation wise, you can kind of flip it different ways. So there's like almost too many different parameters to mess around with. Oh no, how do I get out? Go back. There we go. Scale wise, some other useful ones are the type of text. So as I go up here to the top part, you can see where it says font. So strenuous, I have like a massive library of different fonts I can choose from for this specific title. So whichever one I'm into, I can choose that, and I can change it from maybe italic to bold or whatever. So every aspect of the font can be edited, the positioning of it, where it sits in the video, and then I can also do some other effects that are kind of like more three-dimensional. So on the face portion of the editor where it says show. So this expands another area. So fill with color, I can choose colors or gradients. Here's the color I can choose from. So this little color wheel pops up and I can choose different shades of red or orange or whatever, whatever color I want. The opacity of it, the blur. And a lot of times there's a little bit more going on here. So 3D text is another cool area. So 3D text makes this like a three-dimensional text. And if you click on this area where it says all facets, you can choose from different materials, different like three-dimensional materials. So sometimes I'll go with like car paint. I don't know, it just looks kind of cool. So it's got like this, it's got this sort of glassy look to it. But anywho, whatever your style, whatever your aesthetic is, you can change the fonts, you can change the size, you can change this to a three-dimensional textured type of font or whatever. And there's just, basically every one of these titles has its own little thing of swirling around and pop it on the screen, and you can edit every aspect of that. Positioning, the color, the size, the font, blah, blah, blah. You can match it up with whatever your logo is or something. So that's pretty cool. Another thing I'll talk about and show you while I'm ranting on this whole ordeal is putting stills in your video. So you can do picture in picture. You can do that stuff by layering. You can crop things. You can speed things up. Speeding clips up is pretty easy. You select a clip, you go over here to this area right under the viewer, and you can change fast, slow. You can do speed ramp to where it goes from slow to fast and fast to slow. So if you want something to be like, fast forward or slow mo, you can adjust the speed of it. And then it's like, super fast forward mode or whatever, or super slow mode. You just basically select the clip and you go to the speed editor and you can adjust the speed there. But picture in picture, not picture in picture, but still shots within your video are kind of cool because every now and then you might want to throw up a logo, you might want to throw up a cool little graphic of something. So I have a collection of these on my desktop of just different images. So I can literally just drag and drop these things. So since like the coronavirus thing has been going on, I've got a bunch of like images that are kind of Corona inspired, like toilet paper. So PNG image files are like, clear background, like there's just like a cropped image. So like this little toilet paper image right here, I can drag this image and I can drop it in my timeline over one of my videos. And basically what it does is it has this image pops up right on top of my screen. If it's a PNG, the image is kind of like cropped out of the background, while certain other images might just be like a full screen image. So you can drag basically image files, JPEGs or PNG files, and these will appear as still shots inside of your video.
And I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So like say you wanted to like have the like cut out like the face of that woman and then like put her on your face and then have it move around with you. Would there be a way to do that?
Ooh,
This is just totally hypothetical. Or to even like say like you like had a ball, like a PNG of a ball, and you wanted that to move from one side of the image to the other, or like move around. Is there a way to like drag? Like it's the same a similar question I had with the text. Like, is there a way to drag around text?
Almost like an automated movement of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There probably is, man. I don't know how to do it. You would probably would have to look at some YouTube videos and some tutorials. I bet you there's a way to do it, but I don't know how to do it. You might have to use another piece of software in conjunction with this, but it's possible. I'm sure I've seen people do it. Like I've never done it before, but that would be really cool to be able to do. But yeah, I don't know offhand how to do that.
Because I see that kind of stuff all the time.
Yeah.
In editing. And so I was just wondering. Okay.
Yeah, not sure how to do it myself. Okay, cool. So that covers a lot of the basics as far as editing and importing stuff. It's drag and drop. Once you can trim and reposition things and kind of position the audio, and you can add effects and EQ and compression to the audio and the video and the audio tracks. You can put in little still shots. You can crop things to do like screen within screen moves. So the final touch of this is exporting. Okay. So depending on what you're exporting this for, you might want to do different sizes of video rendering. So in Final Cut, the share button up the top right corner is how you export out of Final Cut. So you click on that, and you have several options here. Apple devices with different resolutions, and as well as Facebook and YouTube Direct or Vimeo Direct. I usually go with master file or one of the Apple devices. If I'm bouncing this for social media, I'll do two bounces. I'll do one that's more catered towards YouTube and Facebook. That's like more 1080, like large size, because they can handle it and they'll actually allow you to upload like a 200 megabyte or a 1 gigabyte file. Whereas Instagram will compress the heck out of it and it'll look all blurry and messed up. So you want to go to the smallest freaking size you can get for Instagram, and then a pretty good size for like, Facebook or YouTube. So what I'll do is I'll go to master file, and at this point, this little window pops up, and it tells you down here like what the size, frames per second, and what the ratio is, and then it gives you like the length of it, and it gives you the size of the file. So at this point, I can title this like day 23, 24 snowboarding.
And that just seems like it's that one clip that is I guess you're bouncing there.
It seems like it, but you see where it says timing, like 2 minutes and 43
Okay.
seconds.
Okay.
So it'll bounce. You don't have to set the regions that you're bouncing or that you're rendering in this program. It literally just bounces the entire region of audio. Whatever is down here in this area down here, it's going to bounce this whole thing. So if I trim that back a little bit, this video is now a little bit shorter. It's only about like 1 minute and 20 seconds, this whole video here. So if this was my video and I went up here, it should just bounce 1 minute and 20 seconds. Let's see here. What does it say? It says 2 minutes and 4 seconds. Let me see why. Oh, here's another thing. Do you see the audio? If the audio, whatever region of clip is extended to the outer edge here, it's going to render all that. So if you want your video to kind of end at this point, you want a little fade out, you have to trim every piece of video or audio clip. So now this ends about like 1 minute and 20 seconds. When I go and I share my master file, this should come up as just 1 minute and 20 seconds. There it is. So whatever you have to kind of trim those edges of your clips to be in that confine, because it'll just bounce whatever's out there on the editor platform. So you can name the stuff and all that kind of stuff right here, and it also says how large it is. Now, if you click on the settings tab up here, this is where we can make it a larger resolution or a smaller resolution. So video codec is basically like the quality and how fast it renders, whether it's quick or it's like, better quality. The resolution, if you bump that up, that's going to make it a little bit larger of a file size, a little bit higher def. And you can choose where it gets saved to. If you want it saved in a certain file somewhere, mine always go directly to my iTunes library for some reason. So wherever you want this to be bounced to, you got to set that to the specific location or add it to iTunes. Usually it just adds the stuff to iTunes, which is kind of tricky. But anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and bounce this just for funsies. I'm going to do it fast quality and small resolution size. And I'm going to call this demo so that I don't get this confused with other things. So I've labeled it. I've changed my settings to the sizes I want, a small size for Instagram, and then I'll blow it up to the largest size, and I'll render it for Facebook and YouTube. And I'll do this twice, but I go and I hit share, and it starts to render this file. And you can see the progress up here in this top little wheel thing up here, the little pie chart thing. It shows you the progress of this render. Now, once this is done, where it goes on my computer is it goes into my iTunes library. So at this point, what I need to do is I open up my iTunes and I go to the movies category of my iTunes. Up here, you have like music and audiobooks and blah, blah, blah. I go to movies and I choose the home videos. And this is where all of my videos get dumped. I'm sure you can change where it exports or renders these videos, but basically all my videos get dumped into my iTunes movie library under home videos. And when I want to drag these or export these to my phone or upload them to video to like YouTube or Facebook, what I end up doing is I select the video, I right click on it, and I say show in Finder. And that's going to bring up the the video folder buried within my iTunes library of where these things get saved. So for instance, here's the video I have selected here. If I want to send this to my phone, like we're doing Instagram, like I'm going to post this to Instagram, you have to use your phone to post to Instagram. So what I do is I open up my iPhone, I go ahead and I preview this by hitting the space bar, and I hit the share button up here on the top of the video preview, and I choose AirDrop, and then I choose to send that AirDrop to my iPhone. I click on that, and then in a second it shows up on my iPhone and gets added to my pictures library, videos and all the other stuff I've taken on my phone. And then from there I can upload it to Instagram. If I'm doing YouTube or I'm doing Facebook, I'll just open up Facebook or YouTube or whatever, and I will. Oopsie, misspelled YouTube. I'll open up YouTube and click on the video upload button up there, upload video, and then from there I will drag this file onto the upload window and go through all the steps with YouTube for setting this up. Okay, cool. So as far as like quick and dirty video editing and quick and dirty use of Final Cut Pro for the purposes of like YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, that's the process in a nutshell. So hopefully that makes sense, and I didn't leave too many important things behind. I'm sure people who use this program professionally like know a lot more about it, but for the basic stuff of like editing and doing little graphics and images and text and transitions and all that kind of stuff, it's really utilizing mostly just all those basic tools to do most content. And whatever quality of picture, whatever camera you're using, if it's 4K or 2K or something less than that, you kind of want to be aware of what you're shooting on, so that when you create a video session, a project, if you're shooting in 4K and you want to edit in 4K and you want to export in 4K, you got to keep 4K up that whole line. So you have to have your camera shooting in 4K, you have to have your project in 4K, and then you have to render it in 4K. And it's going to be huge, but it'll be a lot better quality. And then whatever medium, whatever website you're uploading that to, you should be able to upload that, that super high def quality video, and everything should look good. So you have to problem solve a lot of this, and see what looks good, what doesn't look good. It took me a while to kind of figure out the ratios and the sizes, but that's been working pretty decently for me at this point. So yeah, cool.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then